This.
There's your answer. So
Okay.
if everybody could mute themselves, unless
Yes.
unless you have a question, I'm going to put this on, let's see, gallery. There we go. All right.
So, Dr. John, let me introduce you. This is your call. I'm
Okay.
just going to take over for 1 minute. So I ask these
Yeah,
people to come on.
absolutely. I'm going to take a sip of my drink.
There you go. So this is Dr. John Harmon. His wife is named Carla Harmon. He's a father of 8 children, 2 stepchildren, 27 grandchildren. This
What?
guy's a busy dude. Got a bachelor's of science in human biology. Attended the University of Utah in '83. Graduated in '86. Then went to chiropractic school and graduated in 1989. So he's been around for a while. He's got a lot of wisdom. He's written 2 books. Really excited about this one. How to Reverse Aging, a comprehensive guide to the copper peptide. Most of us know about this. This is the GHK-Cu peptide, and maybe you can elaborate on that, why you chose
Yeah.
to write that. And then also the second book, I love this one, The Reverse of Aging, Power of Epitalon, which I'm a fan of, and a lot of people don't know what that is, and maybe you can elaborate on that as well. Unleashing the Secrets of Longevity and the Fountain of Youth. And then I'm going to say the last, you have your own podcast, Root Cause of Health, a Holistic Health, which is going like viral. So you can talk about that if you'd like, even as well, because some of these guys may want to jump on that too. So with that, you did something really extraordinary, and I love to hear what you did because I am a chiropractor, 27 years. I've been in LifeWave for 17. I made 6 figures in my first year, but I couldn't duplicate it. And I went outside of my practice and I did well, but I couldn't get this thing to really do what you did. And I think that's what people want to hear is how do you do it within your practice and take people from A to Z, from a patient to a network marketing patient to them bringing in business for you and making that whole thing just do what you did. So with that, I'll let you just kind of start with that, and you can just tell us everything you like to talk about.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So the number of grandkids changed so much from when I first started that I had to go in like these PowerPoint presentations I did. And I started with like 23, and then people would do an introduction. I said, no, 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 it's 24 now. And now it's 27. I think we're done for a while now.
It's
Well,
growing.
thanks for the introduction.
Yeah.
As you know, I've been doing LifeWave since March of 2020. That's when I started. But in order for you to understand why I was so motivated and why I was even open to looking at a plan B, I want to tell you what led up to this briefly, um, because it's something that you all need to prepare for. You don't know what's going to happen. And I had in my mind a certain way that I was going to retire, so to speak, from chiropractic. I was going to sell my practice and I was just going to, maybe see people a couple times a week. Um, God had other plans, and stuff happens. And so I tell people, especially, this, I have this soft part in my heart for chiropractors. We work so hard to get reimbursement, and the medical community has made it so unless you're seeing, only taking a couple of minutes with each patient, it's hard to make a living from insurance reimbursement. And so we share this, and we have this, we speak the same language. No other group of people could I say, hey, what's a PRS? What does that mean? You know? So there's a camaraderie here. And a little bit of background, I'd been in practice for 22 years. And in March of 2010, my 18-year-old niece committed suicide. In March of 2011, my oldest daughter's husband was murdered, and then my sister died. And so I had my identical twin 5-year-old granddaughters, and I still had young daughters at home, and they all had anxiety, depression, and insomnia. 4 years of prescription drugs, 4 years of counseling weren't working. I was looking for something to help their brains. I brought neurofeedback into my practice. A couple of years go by. I went to the dentist to have some dental work done. And while I was under conscious sedation, he had to do that because he had to put a dental dam in, and I get all claustrophobic. So I said, "Nah, I can't do that." And he said, "Well, we'll just put you under conscious sedation." When I woke up, he said, "Yeah, that was so bad. That was so bad. I had to do a root canal." So he did a root canal without my permission, and I have to do a little share here. Um, if you can imagine, about 2 weeks later, maybe a little longer, my right wrist started puffing up like a football. Can everybody see that? Okay. So I got to get this out of the way. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. I think I opened the wrong one. Hold on a second. There's a folder that I need to open up first. Give me a second here. No, that's not it. All right. Hold on. I think I have it now. So this for a chiropractor and a drummer is not very good. But the doctor came in and said, well, first of all, they misdiagnosed me. They said I had gout. I looked at him in the eye and I said, I've never had any metabolic issues. I don't have gout. And because I'm a chiropractor and he's a MD, he said, we think you have gout. Here's some colchicine and endomethacin. Out the door I go, in and out of the emergency room. They finally listened to me and he said, well, if we don't do surgery, you got about a 50% chance of making it because it's all in your bones and your wrist bones. So why do I tell you this stuff? That changed my future because I couldn't bend my wrist anymore and it hurt and it took me out of the game. I was out of the office for 2.5 months and didn't quite know what my future was. And so after I did a little bit of this, I decided I'm going to get really good at brains. So I took functional neurology courses and laser courses and neurofeed, got board certified in QEEG, started a new practice. So in that context, my friend called me up, and it was only a few years later. It was like 2.5 years later after the thing with the wrist. My friend said, "What do you know about stem cells?" And I said, "Well, I have had stem cell injections in both knees. They helped a little bit." And he said, "What if you could elevate somebody's stem cells by wearing this little patch?" He showed it to me. I said, "You're crazy. This, what are you talking about?" So, being someone who likes to know the reasons, I started doing a little research. It turns out there's research about the peptide that gets elevated in the blood when you wear the X39 since 1977, 27 years before the company LifeWave even existed. And the big thing is it is known through the research to actually activate the genes that tell your body to make more stem cells. So I thought, well, what could possibly benefit from that? Everything? Anything? So then the shutdown happened. We were not allowed to go outside and meet with people. But here's what I did. And this is it's what I did. I don't know if everybody will do this, but I had 2.5 months and I would sit in my home office and we're early risers here, and I would be there at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm formulating instant messages and text messages to send out to friends, kind of engaging with them. Have you heard of the X39? No, I think I might have found something that can help you with that fill in the blank issue. I'll meet you in the Kohl's parking lot because we couldn't get together. You know, they wouldn't let us go get together. So I started, they said contact 3 people a day. I heard 300 because I had time. I really didn't do that many, but I just kept formulating these things, and then I was going to start hitting send. Oh no, it's only 7 o'clock. Okay, I'll wait till 9. Sending out these texts. Sometimes when I give them the information, we didn't have all cool websites we have now. By the time I got home, somebody said, I already went on your website and enrolled. And I said, well, this is kind of cool. And then I'm talking to my wife, holy cow, we have 10 people on our team. Oh my gosh, we got 40 people on our team. Oh my gosh. And I was just sponsoring people right and left, right and left. I think I got 10th in the world in sponsoring that first year because, you know, we, as someone, some of them were my former patients, other ones were friends, other ones were other doctors. I just kept sponsoring people. And within a year, actually from the very start, the very first year, my 6 figure chiropractic income or LifeWave income, my income in LifeWave matched my 6 figure in chiropractic. And so it really got my attention. Wow. This was something I put a really a focused effort into from the very start, but then a lot of other people thought it was really cool. And so I want to share with you some ways because we don't have a shutdown right now. You're in practice. And wouldn't you say that many people, it depends on your focus in your practice. Many of your patients come to you for pain. They're in pain. So if you're not the pain doc, then there are other things that people come in for, and you have packages of care. You treat people so many times with so many modalities or so many adjustments. You have packages of care. So I thought, you know what? No ethical doctor is just going to recommend a product to someone without a reason. You know, you got to have a reason to introduce a product to somebody. Well, then I thought, well, if they come to me and they're in pain, I know the ice wave patch can get rid of their pain in as little as 10 seconds. But the ice wave patch doesn't secure or prevent or provide that long-term regeneration and repair. So why don't I use the ice wave or the Eon? Eon is really good for this too, to get their attention with getting rid of their pain. So now, mind you, I wasn't doing chiropractic at the time. I had a brain-based practice, but people still came in and they told me, oh, I got a pain right here in my hip and they're limping or whatever. So I would say, I'm going to show you, I'm going to eliminate your pain in like 15 seconds. Is that okay? And they look at me like, hell yes, get rid of my pain. And so I would say, I'm going to put this, I want to introduce this new light therapy technology that can help me relieve your pain at the speed of light. Not something that you take. It's not a pill. It's not anything like that, but it can relieve your pain. It's to introduce you to this other patch, same technology, other patch that will actually help regenerate and repair the source of your pain. We're going to make your pain go away. That's easy with this patch. It's proven to do that. In fact, there was a study done in a hospital in France, and they took patients who were already taking opioids and then used this ice wave patch. 95% of them got more relief from the ice wave patch than they did from the opioids. So we're going to use this, and I'm going to eliminate your pain. But this other one called the X39 actually turns on the genes in your body that signal your body to once again ramp up that little factory inside of us that makes these regenerative cells called stem cells. And then I would further conversation, and I would say, well, and what do you think increasing your stem cells could do? And they think for a minute. They say, well, gosh, can help a lot of things. Yeah, I'd say keep an open mind. It could help anything in your body. We don't make promises that we cure or, you know, um, but if you're elevating your stem cells, those are the very cells that replace the sick and dying cells that your body needs, and we don't make as many of them. I was 66 when I started using these in 19 in 2020. And so a lot of my stem cells were dormant. They weren't really working. So that's one way for you, those of you who see patients who are in pain, to introduce the technology. And depending on your setup, whether you have someone out front or not, someone, an assistant or a chiropractic assistant or a nurse or whatever, you can train them on further explaining and applying that. And you can see, go talk to Betty out front. She can get you all the information you need, and then you go on to the next patient. That's one way of introducing the patches to your patients. The other one is, if you have packages of care, like this is good, this is better, this is best. This package right here, this you'll get everything we do. You get so many therapies, and then you have listed the modalities or the adjustments, the number of adjustments, but all you have to do is raise the cost of that package by $100, and now you have your cost or retail 150 for a sleeve of X39 for your good package. They get a month supply of this stem cell activation patch. Or for your better package, they get a 3-month supply. For your best premium package, they get a 6-month supply. That's a core pack, an advanced pack, or your 1 month, 3 month. 1 month is, the we used to have what's called a bronze. We don't have that anymore. But you can either have a 1, 3, or whatever number you want of sleeves. But what it is, they when you're going through the things that you do in your practice, it gives you the chance to talk to every single person about LifeWave because it's part of their package. It's not like sometime in the future you might happen to mention it. It's intentionally giving them all of the reasons why this would help with the thing that they have. Because once again, it goes back to being ethical. There's a reason why we added these to your packages. And you can make the case for anything they have that because the X39 activates their stem cells, it would benefit them in the long run, whether it's a treatment of chiropractic care over several months. GHK is known as the great repairer of collagen. What are our ligaments made of? Collagen, the ligaments. If we can strengthen your ligaments and repair your elastin, both are true. Those are known functions of the GHK carbopeptide. Then, Mrs. Smith, your adjustments are going to hold longer and you won't have to come in and see me as much. I actually had a chiropractor say this. Well, if I do that, then they're not going to have to come in as much and I might lose patient visits. And I said, you're not my guy. we're trying to get people well and get people better so fast that you get so many referrals because of what you do, not that we want to hold on to patients and keep having them come in because their adjustments didn't hold. At least that's been my philosophy. So you have an opportunity for each patient. And then at your report of findings, I used to say mine was totally different because I was using the benefits of the X39 for brain improvement. There's so much information in the literature that I wrote about in the book about how it improves brains is that I had to break it up into 3 chapters. One chapter for cardiovascular, one chapter for skin and hair, one for the immune system, one for stem cell, three for the brain. So when we're talking about packages, you can tell them, and we give people the option. You've already paid for, this is after they've already paid for their package. You've already paid for this package. That includes a 1 month supply. We can either give you that product that you've paid for, or we can apply it to get you set up with your own, either a customer account, like for that one, or for a core pack. And that way you have your own wholesale, um, what do I call it? Wholesale account. Yeah. So that way you're already set up for your own wholesale account, and then you can purchase any of these at wholesale anytime you want. Or you can be a customer and we can use the money you spent to purchase this product, this 1 month supply, and we can start you up as a preferred customer. Which would you prefer? Don't want to force them and don't want to, bamboozle them into getting enrolled as a branding partner. And then they'll ask, well, what's the difference? Well, let me ask you a question, Mrs. Smith. Are you somebody who likes to tell people about things? Like if you hear about it, if you go to a restaurant and it's really good, do you like to tell people, oh yeah, if these work for me, I would tell a lot of people. Well, I think your best option would be to get yourself set up with a wholesale account, because then when your friends want to get some of these products, you'll send them to your website. And who knows, after a few months or a year, maybe there'll be enough money coming in to pay for your patches. How does that sound? And I just be quiet. The words, how does that sound? Or how does that feel, without thinking that you're trying to close them for something, you really are. And just by saying, how does that sound? Or does that sound good? Yeah, let's do that. You don't want to sign them up unbeknownst to them, obviously. So getting their permission is a really huge deal. You can either do it introducing the patch one at a time, right when you're treating somebody with the ice wave. Tell them about the X39 because we want to repair and regenerate that, and or introduce them or put the X39 into their packages. That's the way I introduced it to people. And so now, like Dr. Tivoli said, he was at six figures the first year. I was too, but we had a little bit more training when I started than we had when he started. It was like trying to reinvent the wheel, and should I do this and that? So you can actually get it set up, and it's just gotten bigger each year for me. The last 5 years, it grows every year, and now we have a pretty good team um, in multiple countries. And so I'm going to go back to the pictures of my hand. You don't know what's going to happen, and your ideas of retirement may change because there's so many variables. So I tell people, if you want to have a plan B, start it while you still have your plan A. And just know that every day, part of your plan B is being created as you talk to your patients. They're going to thank you. I think it's an obligation, seeing the things that have improved in my patients. It's my obligations to tell people, as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going over to one of my friend's house. The viewing for his 38-year-old daughter was last night. We've been friends for 35 years since I first moved here. I treated all of his kids. Laura was one of them. They have so much anxiety and so much of a strain on their heart. This is why we talk about broken heart, because it really literally does get broken. Soon as I leave here, I'm taking X39 and carnosine over to them. I'm going to say, put the carnosine right over your heart. Why is that? Well, their heart is under stress right now. And the carnosine increases contractility of cardiac muscle. It helps maintain blood pressure that's too high. The blood pressure is taking a hit. And the X39 has anti-anxiety effects. That's known in the literature as well. It's my obligation to help them get through this, I think. So I, I'm just going to take some over to them, and they're going to the burial right after I get there. I mean, things like that. You look at the effect, the ripple effect that you can have on families, not only for pain relief, but so many people have an undiagnosed something. You know, the thousands of different combinations of disorders that create such a blurred image for a practitioner that, you know, they diagnose with this and then this, and you have chronic fatigue and you have fibromyalgia and all of these things. But so many of those things, you know, there's no single medicine or herb or anything that will help with that. But then when you put an X39 on, and then people start making these miraculous recoveries. The doctor that I just interviewed for Root Cause Holistic Health podcast made this comment. He said, sometimes when I'm with patients who, you know, I've figured out what their core issues were, we treated it, and then they start sobbing, and it's for the loss of the last 20 years. It's not just tears of joy that they don't have those things anymore, that they now have energy. They've been known for 20 years as a person who has no energy. Nobody wanted to date me. I have no children. I didn't get married. My life was miserable. And they're mourning the loss of what could have been. And so I look at that when I see patients. Am I afraid to talk about a network marketing thing? Or do I have more vision and giving them hope for their future to change their life? And I that's why I think it's my obligation, that I was so driven to help these people who don't have hope, and they've gone to so many doctors. Um, is Are there any questions
I
so
have
far?
something, Doc, and this is a hard. Obviously, you're going through a lot, which I didn't know. I'm sorry about that. Sorry for your loss to friends. I wanted to back up. When you talk to a patient, you would say you're going to get this email about a brand partner. Kind of go into that a little bit, and then how you direct them into the
Okay.
conversation about
Yeah.
it's network marketing or it's a home-based business. What do you know about that? Or you know what I mean? That was
Yeah,
part.
I didn't send it an email. I actually talked to them. I
Mhm.
just like at the report of findings when I'm going over, and I tell them about the packages, and I say this package includes a 1 month supply of this phototherapy. It's a new technology for stem cell activation. We'll have a conversation about that. That's package one. Package two includes a 3 month supply. Same, and I go, this is what you get. You get 2 months of care with adjusting this therapies, whatever you do. And then this one has a 6 month supply. That's our premium package. And then, you know, it's basically mild, moderate, and severe. That's what we said in my practice. Mild, mild issues, moderate issues, severe issues. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to be really frank with you. You're probably at the moderate. And they go, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I'm certainly not mild, am I? Yeah, you're somewhere from moderate, and other people, I mean, always, I mean, they're going to tell. People can feel authenticity. If you think somebody's severe, say, you know what? I think you're in the severe state right now, severe stage. Almost 100% of the people I ever said that to said, yeah, I thought so too. And then they pay for their package, and I tell them in advance, we're going to talk about those. We'll have a conversation about those, but not then. There's too much. It's overwhelming. So this is another visit. But then when they are deciding, or when they're getting all of the information about their package, and it might be that day, but it's just not right at the same. To me, it wasn't the same conversation. It was the second conversation. And then either me or I would either do it or somebody on my staff. And I liked the personal connection. And so I usually did it myself. Plus, I wanted to make sure it was done right because I know more about the patches than my staff that I could ever teach my staff. And so I would tell them, this is what your options are. You've already paid for this package. You just finished paying for this. We can either give you your product right now. We have it on hand, whether it was 3, 6, 9, whatever. We had a bunch of sleeves of X39. I say, I can give these to you now, or we can take that same money that you already spent and we can get you set up with the company as a preferred customer, or we can get you your own wholesale account. Which do you prefer? See how long I waited? There's nothing else you have to say. Which do you prefer? I always wanted them to choose because they're not ever going to come back and say, "Well, you started this account for me against my will." Not how I roll. So they'll either do if they say, "Well, why would I need to use it for longer than a month?" Well, let me ask you this. If you start to remodel your house and you've only been into it for a couple of days, but everything's torn up, probably not going to quit. You want to finish. You want to finish remodeling your house. The same is true with your body. The first thing that's going to happen is demolition. Your body has to get rid of, when you increase your own, well, let me word it this way. Our body kills off 50 to 70 billion cells a day, with a B, billion, because they're sick, old, dying. That's true if you have the resources to replace them. If you don't, they become what's called zombie cells. Zombie cells are sucking up nutrition but not performing any work. I might be a kidney cell, but I can't do that anymore. But my body can't kill me off. My immune system can't get rid of me because I killed too many of them and I can't replace them. So I'm just going to sit here, feed me. And now all of a sudden, you get all of these stem cells produced, and your body says, kill them all. Get rid of all these dead, dying, sick cells. And so you have to do that first, Mrs. Smith. Your body's going to start getting rid of cells that are old and sick. You want to give your stem cells enough time, and first be aware you can't direct them where they're going to go. They're like teenagers. They don't go where you tell them to go. You're going to start reproducing, making more of your stem cells, and your most life-threatening issues are going to get fixed first. And this is when I tell them, I didn't notice very much at first when I started using the X39. But over a period of 2 years, documented on 2 stress echocardiograms, the right bundle branch block in my heart disappeared. And two different doctors have said, we've never seen one of those go away. And the hill that used to make my heart feel like it was pounding out of my chest, I run up now, and I'm 71, and I don't have a right bundle branch block anymore. So you don't know where your stem cells are going to be attracted to fix, because it will go to your most life-threatening things. And if you don't have a symptom for something, you're not going to feel it go away. My brother-in-law was getting ready to work out 15 years ago, and he died of a dissecting aortic aneurysm that went clear down into his iliac arteries from his aorta that he didn't know he had. So patients are going to say, well, I used this for a month and I didn't feel anything. This is why in advance I tell them this. When if somebody asked me about this, I say, tell me the two reasons, there's only two. Tell me the two reasons why people go to the doctor. I know I have something or I suspect it. I'm going to go find out what it is, or I'm going for my annual physical. There are no other reasons. You don't go to the doctor and say, hey, I'd like to get a CAT scan, do my blood work. Well, what are your symptoms? Well, I don't have any. I'm just curious. No, they're not going to do anything. So, you know, you have something, you're going to the doctor, you have the symptoms. Let's just leave that out. I go for my annual physical. The doctor does a few selected tests, your blood tests, you know, your cholesterol, your this, you know, weight, blood pressure. And he says, everything looks great. And 3 days later, you die. You had no symptoms, there were no tests. So when someone embarks on the journey of the X39, and after a month they say, well, I didn't feel anything. I said, well, what were you measuring? Well, nothing. I didn't feel anything. Okay. If you don't have that conversation before they start using it, they're going to expect to feel something because we're all used to the medical model, aren't we? I take a drug, my blood pressure changes. I take a pain pill, my pain changes. The X39, you have to build this picture of this is for long-term regeneration and repair. You're going to want to be on a subscription so that you can activate your stem cells every day, every day. Instead of getting one big flood of stem cells, you're elevating them every day, every day, every day, every day. Whatever's needed that day is going to be repaired. Have that conversation with them at some point. Otherwise, they'll just go with the whole thing. Well, yeah, I used them for 3 months and I didn't feel anything. What were you measuring? If somebody says that to you in advance, okay, I'll use it for a month and I'll let you know how I feel. Okay, Mrs. Smith, let's determine in advance what are you going to be measuring, and then don't say anything. Let them take the 10 seconds and then they'll get it. Well, I- a lot of times they're speechless. What are you going to be measuring? Well, I don't know. Well, how are you going to know? How are you going to know if you don't even know what you're measuring? Very, very important for long-term use of anything. Is it regenerative or is it symptom based? The X39 can be symptom based, and I've had people tell me things that you would not believe. And this is why my belief system really got really solid from the beginning, because somebody I know was a nurse who had to stop nursing for after 22 years because she had MS, looked at me and said, yeah, after 5 days, I was doing wall squats and walking without my walker. And I said, Deb, you're telling me about a dream you had. You're not telling me about something that really happened. No, that really happened. And then another one, this couple came in and the wife had anxiety. She was seeing me for anxiety, but he's moving around like a 90-year-old man. And I said, Scott, what's going on with you? And he said, well, I was diagnosed with ALS type symptoms from the Marine Corps. And he could barely walk. Was taking $1,100 a month worth of prescription drugs, 8 to 10 oxycodone every day. Couldn't work. They couldn't get pregnant again. They had fertility issues, on and on and on. 10 days later, he was able to run through our parking lot. So I didn't have many changes for about 2 years and the right bundle branch block away. He had changes within 10 days. I mean, huge ones. And he actually called me a couple of summers ago to thank me. He said, you know, we we were able to conceive again. I take no drugs. I'm working. I have no pain. Yeah, I mean, that's called meaningful work right there. We all seek meaningful work. We want to have meaning in the things that we do, and you can actually increase your circle of good for your ripple effect globally by telling people about this product. And that's what's happened probably for Dr. Tivoli as well, is you get people on your team all over the world because everybody on my team's on his team. So I know he's global as well. And that means a lot. I mean, as a healthcare provider, we get 2 weeks of endorphins. Somebody says, you help me. That's cool. 2 weeks of endorphins. Well, I hope this helps you on your way. Um, I have to wrap it up because I got to go take some patches to the family going to the burial. Um, but if you have any more questions, you could write them down. We could do another Zoom sometime, Dr. Nick.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you got to go, but I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for doing that. Yeah, maybe we'll do a follow-up call and maybe it's some more convenient for you and not
And
under
that
the,
everybody will have time to process it and ask
yeah,
really specific questions too.
sure. I would love to do that. So we'll just do that so we don't ask questions now. So with that, thanks everybody for coming on your time off on a Friday. You too, Dr. John. So God bless you and take
Anytime, you
care of
guys.
yourself.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
so
much.
much.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Just knowing I helped you on your way is good.
Thanks for sharing.
Have a great weekend.